Welcome to this month's episode of Best Fails, the place where failure isn't feared, it's explored. So, if you're new here, Best Fails is a brave space where we unpack the stories we often hide. We look at what went wrong, what it revealed, and how it shaped us. Today's guest is Avelyn Christie, who speaks with remarkable vulnerability about a failure still unfolding. She shares her vision for an organization for girls, the Kintsugi element, a name inspired by the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. It's a metaphor for embracing imperfection and honoring the beauty in what's broken. And yet, in a moment of gentle irony, Evelyn reflects on how she's been delaying the launch, waiting for it to be perfect. While Kintsugi celebrates the cracks, she's been hesitant to begin until everything feels seamless. This conversation is a powerful reminder that accountability and growth don't require perfection. They require presence, showing up, even when the pieces aren't yet polished. It's about trusting that the act of creating, flawed and unfinished, can still be impactful. So welcome, Evelyn, to Best Feels. Thank you for being a guest on my podcast.
You are most certainly welcome.
Thank you. We have known one another for so long, Evelyn. You have been part of my life from the time I knew myself as a teenager.
No,
Because
you're gonna start
oh
that, and
no.
then people are gonna start guessing ages and
Okay, so we'll keep this quiet. We want to say anything more. So, what I'm going to do is just introduce you to the audience. There are some people, of course, who will know you. There are others who don't. So, I'm going to tell them a little bit about you, particularly about your professional life, and then we can have a
yeah,
bit of conversation to give a little bit more detail of who Evelyn really is. So,
wonderful.
let's go. So, Evelyn Bloom Christie is an educator with 23 years experience and currently serves as the principal of the Rock Christian School. Her first love was accounting, but after moving into auditing, she decided to explore other avenues. So while pondering her next move, she was invited to substitute at a school for 2 weeks, and the rest is history. She came, she saw, she loved, and she decided to stay. Evelyn is also a women's and child's advocate and served as the president of the National Organization of Women of Barbados for 5 years. She has one beautiful daughter who is the product of her 25-year union with her husband, Adrian Christie. This is Evelyn. Welcome.
Thank you so
So,
very much, Alison.
yes. So, Evelyn, that's just an overview of you, your professional life, and so forth. But we want to understand a little bit more about you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, your family, that type of thing.
Well, um, I grew up in a small village in St. Lucie in Barbados. Almost as I'm saying that, I feel very much like Gideon. The small town, small
Small town
family.
place.
Um, I had a memorable and a very distinctive upbringing.
Yeah.
The memories are not all great, but they have all events that transpired, I guess, have kind of made me into who I am today. I was raised by my grandparents,
Hmm. Yeah.
because my mom passed away when I was just 9. Yes. And that kind of shifted what would have been a very carefree lifestyle into one of responsibility and
Yeah.
accountability. And
Yeah.
it wasn't easy for a girl of 9 to handle.
Hmm.
But the lessons that were learned, they would have done me well in my teenage years, especially. Yes.
Hmm.
Um, I was always loved learning, and I think that
Hmm.
what kind of under the scenes or behind the scenes kind of propels me to where I am today. But I
Yeah.
have an insatiable appetite for learning even as
Oh,
a girl.
lovely. Yeah.
And um and I went through school very easily. But I
Yeah.
have to say, you spoke earlier about my being a women's and child's advocate.
Advocate.
That
Yeah.
I moved through, there were bruises and scars, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
the lessons learned from those bruises and scars, as I said before, would have kind of helped and created who I am today. I'm very passionate about women's business, women's empowerment, and about children's growth and development.
Yeah.
I love traveling. I do not get to do
Mm-hmm.
it as often as I would hope because it is so expensive. Um,
Yes.
but that too was even birthed from a child's, because I remember at primary school writing compositions about going to Paris. And I
Oh,
have never
wow.
yet been to Paris. I have
It's
simply read
coming.
about it, and yeah, thank you. I received that. I received that. I simply read about it, and that imagination just went wild. Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
I love traveling, the few places that I have been. I love
Mm-hmm.
a good game of Scrabble or Chinese checkers for
Yes, you
relaxation.
do.
And I love pulling together a drama production or any kind of production
Yes.
for that. Yeah, for that. So, yeah. So that's
Exactly.
basically in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, because actually, in terms of women and children, like you worked with teens for so long, because that's how I met you, working and invested so much time, energy, effort, emotions, finances, everything
Yes. Yes.
into into teens and young people.
So too. I love teenagers.
Yes.
Think that they are the most misunderstood um,
Mm,
generation,
yeah,
and is at that time when parents are getting antsy and throwing up their hands in frustration, and I
yeah,
like to step in, okay, maybe we can try this last time. So
yeah.
I'm working with teenagers.
Lovely. Lovely. So, this is a podcast about failure. So, when you think about your childhood, teenage years, whatever, what would you say is your earliest memory of failure?
Mm. I think that would have been when I transitioned into secondary school.
Okay. Uh-huh.
All through primary school, failure was not a word in my vocabulary. Um,
Yes.
I'm the girl who got 100% in math and 100%
Yes.
grammar. Anything I tried, it came so easy and so natural.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it comes as a result to as unaddressed issues,
Yeah.
because when my mom died at 9, when I was 9, it was never, my grief was never acknowledged. It was never catered to. It was never
Mm,
addressed. I think in
right.
those days it was put upon as, they'll get over it. Children will grow out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
And she had been for a long time my champion. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things didn't make sense to me, but there was no one to explain the things that didn't make sense. And so
Yeah.
things started to slip and slide. And while I was still performing well academically, in my mind, I think there was so much going on,
Yeah.
um, that I started to lose an edge in different areas.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm the girl who took home a report from primary school, which said every term first in class. When I went
Yes.
into secondary school, then that first term, I came 13th in class.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nobody told me that now I'm going into an environment where children are just as sharp as I
Sharp
was.
as you. Yes.
But nobody said
Yes.
I had to put in an extra effort. Nobody
Yes.
in any of these dynamics. And so
Yes.
just went along with my casual form of excellent mediocrity
Yeah.
and, and ended up with 13th on my report card.
Yeah.
nowhere the way that I could have taken that home to my father. So I
Right.
so I had never seen those 2 digits on the report card. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even know
What
it
is
was
that
that
mean?
far. You know? So, I did what any respectable child who's accustomed to coming first would do. I had
Right.
to eat. I raise that one and change that language.
Yes. Oh, wow.
That's
Did
all.
he find out?
I'm sure he knew he said nothing. But now the
Oh,
trick is to get my report back to school now, I have now to turn it back. So that was my introduction to failure, and it happened in a
wow.
big way. And yeah, I laugh about it today.
Wow.
I'm telling you, those were some going to sleep at night. That was a serious thing because I wasn't sure when the shoe would drop.
I can imagine the scariness, but I also understand what you're saying in terms of that preparation because similar to you, I didn't have well, my parents didn't go to secondary school, so they didn't have that transition. But I had a similar experience in terms of, you go through primary school and
Mhm.
you do well. I always used to come second though. There was this girl that I was trying hard to beat, and I just was not able to beat her. So I
Uh-huh.
always was second. But
Uh-huh.
when I went into secondary school, I in my head thought that I was still becoming first, second, and third. So
Uh-huh.
I remember the first one was this music thing that I had then, and I had gotten 95%, and we had a class of 25, and I came 20th out of 25 with 95%. Evelyn,
Oh,
that
wow.
that was that was such a mind
Yeah.
boggle. I could not get out. I was like, wow, wow, who am I in class with? Like, what
Yes.
is happening?
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes.
95 is something that you would get, you would come first with.
Yes.
I am coming
Uh-huh.
20th.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah. So I do think I do think there is some preparation perhaps that hopefully children who are going into secondary school know that they have a little bit more than perhaps
Yeah,
we did.
yeah. I think we're a bit more informed, and we do a better
Yes.
job of preparing them and saying, "Hey,
Yes.
you are going in there with some minds that are just as sharp as yours is." But
Yours.
I
Yes.
think what would have happened to me too is that I would have built up what was called a perfectionist complex, and
Right. Mm,
everything I got accustomed to the fact that everything that I did had to be done perfectly, and
right.
as a result, secondary school just wasn't gelling.
Mm.
So
It wasn't
not
giving you that perfection that you were accustomed to. Yeah.
precise. So with the underlying issues of dealing with of
Yeah.
not dealt with my mom
Lots. Yeah.
pressure now to perform and having a perfect
Mm-hmm.
complex, that's a good recipe right there for for mental um
Yeah.
activity.
Challenges.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
thankfully it did not escalate into that, but you could see how the stage was perfectly set.
For
um
sure.
yeah.
And during that time, like, who were there any people, or how did you find an outlet? Did you find an outlet for your grief? Did you find an outlet, to be able to manage all of these stressors that you were experiencing during that time?
I think I became very active at school. One thing
Okay.
that once I fell in love with netball,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
that the physicality of that was a good renewal for me every day because I
Mm,
played every day. And
wow.
then I started to get I became involved in the debating club, and
Right.
that gave me that kind of honed my my skills for agitation and
Ah,
defense and thing. So while the issues were not addressed directly, because I was involved in other things, that's kind of,
yeah.
that kind
Give you
of
an outlet.
here and other way. Yeah. So indirectly, then the issues
Yeah.
were resolved. Yes.
Okay.
But I
Nice.
think
Yeah.
I can't help but think how much easier life would have been had somebody taken the time to say, look, this is going to affect this child in this way, so we need to do
Mm,
this. And even to
yeah.
when I have students who for one reason or the other lose a family member, you
Yeah.
know, I am quick to say to the parent, get this child some counseling. It cannot
Yeah.
just be a case of, okay, they're going to get over it or in time it will
Yeah.
pass. The
Yeah.
issues to be addressed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is
I
one
like.
star that I would have brought forward, but that is used, or the knowledge from which is used to help others.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. So again, just kind of thinking through failure. How did people react to failure in your community, whether or not it is, your community at home where you lived, people around you at school? Like, how did people react to failure?
In my household, it was not accepted.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
it was a no-no, which kind of fed my perfectionist complex.
Yeah.
Um, So you were expected to do this. This was
Hmm.
expected of you, and this is all that was allowed. But
Yeah.
while that was upheld in my household, in my
Hmm.
neighborhood was much mediocrity. There was there was no example of excellence. Everything
Right.
seem like outside the house is just the whole village of failing, but
Oh,
inside
right.
we're expected to. So once again, the disparity is really
Yes.
like, okay, how do you accept? How can you embrace and hug and love these people who are doing this, and then you
Yes.
demand such high standards of me here?
Mm.
So yeah.
Yes.
So but failure is was in my day and age is was not it was not an embraceable thing. Now that
Yeah.
we are informed, we kind of say things like failure is not final, failure is not
Yeah.
fatal, etc.
Yeah.
But in those days, it pretty much was in people's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and people looked at the position of others who might in a dire position or of
Yeah.
poverty or whatever, and they attribute it to the fact that this is because they failed in school or this is because they did
Right.
that. So with that kind of negative input, I
Hmm.
had no choice but to stay away from failure. You know,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
until life taught me differently in that
Yes.
form secondary school. Yeah. Mhm.
So we are going to play a game called Where Should We Begin? Again, a game of card. So I'm going to shuffle and choose a few cards for us. And we are going to answer the questions on these cards. Hmm. I'll never forget about the day.
Oh,
I'll never forget about the day. Oh, the one that's coming to my mind is, and I've been talking about this recently, was the first time that I lied. The first time I told a lie, I was in reception in primary school. So I had to be about 4. Mommy had sent me to school and I used to get a 25 cents at that point in time, which was a lot. I could buy a pound
yes,
curls and a
yes,
sweetie with a
yes,
25
yes,
cent.
yes, yes.
So I'm at school. We're going through class, and the teacher found $1. Somebody in the class had lost $1. So she asked who the dollar belonged to. So I put up my hand.
Yeah.
Immediately, I answered. I put up my hand. And another girl in class put up her hand too. I can't remember who it was.
Oops.
And the teacher said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a chance to for the person who did it, who it really belongs to, keep your hand up, and the other person put down your hand." But I, in my head, I was like, "You already committed to this. You put up your hand already.
Uh-huh.
You can't back down
You're
from
back
this now."
down.
But so my 4-year-old mind is thinking about how easily this can be proven, like
Uh-huh.
nothing like that. So I kept my hand up. And the teacher said, she said, "Well, we're gonna find out, we're gonna figure out who this belongs to because we're gonna call your parents." And
Oh.
I knew immediately I was gonna be in trouble. So
Mm-hmm.
she called, she did what she sent us to the head teacher. The head teacher called both of our parents. So of course my mother said, "Well, I gave her 25 cents to go to school." And the teacher was late. So they were like, Alison, like, wait, did you late? And I got some lashes. I got some lashes for that. But if
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you the truth, I have thought about that for so long. That is a memory that sticks in my mind because I'm like, oh, why did I put up my hand for this 25 for this dollar? But I was listening to this podcast the other day. They were just talking about, children, because I was 4. First of all, I just got to give myself that grace. I was a 4-year-old
Yes.
frontal
Yeah.
cortex. It was not working well. This was
Mm-hmm.
something that I had never experienced. So I was like, a dollar? I would like to have a dollar. Hand up,
Mm-hmm.
and I am not thinking about the consequences. I am not
Yes.
thinking about the
Yes.
consequences of it. But that
Mm.
made me think about myself as a layer for such a long time, as opposed to I was in a
Wow.
situation I couldn't
Wow.
handle it well, you know. And it made me struggle about thinking about myself as a layer for a long time. Anyhow, that's a
Mm.
day that I will not forget.
Yeah.
How
That's a
about
big
you?
one. That's a tough one.
Yes.
That's a tough
Yes,
one.
it is.
Oh. I was thinking I was trying to find a really good memory because there are plenty days, obviously,
Yes.
that you would
Mm-hmm.
have in your head. So I wanted
Yeah.
to find a really rich, happy one
Uh-huh.
to use.
Right.
But but I think one that is very profound is one that's negative as well. Um, I don't think I'll forget the day that um oh, I was gonna say the day that my mom died.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
And then I thought maybe because maybe my dad. I shall just share
Mhm.
one, because
Yes.
they're all etched very indelibly in my memory.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the day my mom died was a night actually. But
Mhm.
what was amazing about it is how in touch she was. So we were all sleeping and she
Mhm.
started to feel ill. So
Okay.
my mom she had kidney failure. So
Okay.
she had a process of staying a long time in the hospital, then coming home for a short time, then getting sick
Mm.
again and go back to the
Mm.
hospital. So actually when she came home, it was like a holiday. It was something to be
Right.
celebrated.
Yeah.
And I think that at this time they're probably decided, no, there's much that can be done for her at this stage, so
Mm.
let her go home and die.
Mhm.
So she was at home and she started to feel ill,
Mhm.
and we all were sleeping, and she woke us all up, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I remember that she went to the bathroom, and this stool smelled awful.
Mm.
It smelled
Mhm. Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
grandmother
Yeah. Yeah.
instantly said, "That's death stool." So, in my 9-year-old mind, I can't process that,
So
but I know
yeah,
that
of course.
something's happening. And she sat us all down in the living room, and she said to my grandmother, she said, "I want you to take good care of my children." She spoke to myself and she spoke to me and my sister. She said, "I want you guys to be attentive and listen to your grandparents." She spoke
Mm.
to my uncle. She gave everybody advice. And
Mhm.
then there was a lizard in the house, a green lizard. And I remember somebody going to swat it away. She said, don't bother with it. It came to take me home. And
Wow.
shortly after that, just got worse. And my father came and they said, let's get her to the hospital. And my grandma was saying, but it doesn't make any sense. She's going. He said, well, let's get
Yeah.
her to the hospital. Let's get her to the hospital. And they left with her and she died on the way to the hospital. But
Wow.
what is so amazing is that she had all her faculties about her
Mm-hmm.
instruction, and I remember that into adulthood. And I remember
Wow.
watching one of your programs, you
Yeah.
asked you asked one of your guests about how they would think, how they see themselves dying or something like that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and
Yes.
I,
Yes.
that's the kind of, like, she was quite aware, and and whatever she said to us to remain with us for even to this day. So
Wow.
that's the day that is etched in my mind, in my memory.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
sad, but still beautiful that she had the chance to have that type of conversation with
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Nice. One last question. Let's see what
Mhm.
this will be.
Mhm.
Um, I spend too much time worrying about I think I spend too much time worrying about people's opinions, and this podcast is a good example of that. I I wanted to do this podcast because I was really passionate about checking other information online other than, the haze that we see on social media. Social media does a very good job of helping us celebrate our high moments. But
Mhm.
that causes people to think that you live in a life with just high moments when our lives are waves, it comes and goes. Um and but with that, I found that I felt so vulnerable every time I put a new podcast out, and in the back of my head, it was like, what are people gonna think about this podcast that I'm putting out? Is the quality good? Is all of these different things? I mean, is a new podcast. Hardly anybody listening to it. So if it is not going to be good, this is the time. And this is the best time for it because it is new, it is growing, it is whatever. And I spent so much time worrying. I remember Wendell told me, he was like, Alison, you taking on too much about this podcast. Like, it impacting everything. You can't sleep properly. You're not doing whatever
Yeah.
because you're so worried in the back of your mind about what people thinking. So
Yeah.
so yeah. So I spend so much time worrying about what people think as opposed to just doing the things that I know I need to do in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
How
I
about
I, I
you?
can I can understand where you're coming from, because
Yeah.
I think that's one of my issues with getting
Yeah.
what we're going to talk about started. I and
Right.
you hit the nail on the head. Vulnerability. I
Yes.
do I do not. I prefer to have a conversation with you one on one. I prefer to sit in a room and talk to a group of people than I prefer
Yes.
to do anything at all on social media or have any kind of relationship with the internet. Um,
Yes.
I
Hmm.
sit and I wonder. I remember when I was president of the National Organization of Women, I hated doing media, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
always thinking,
understood.
I always feel like everything I said had to be perfect because if somebody brought it,
Yes.
to be able to defend it. Um,
Hmm.
and and because of that, I was shy away from talking to reporters because
Yeah.
they don't understand in the moment. Um,
Yes.
I said people will watch things and get a different take on it, and
Yes.
I do not like the idea of putting myself out there to be judged, to be critiqued, to be vulnerable in
Yes.
I do not know, where I have no
Exactly.
recourse, where I cannot come back to you and say that's not really what I meant. So
Yeah.
whatever is said, you take it as you hear it, and I didn't
Yeah.
like that. So
Yes.
I think it hindered me from doing a lot of things, a lot of
Mm.
things,
Hmm.
and from sharing much because of that dislike for of being,
Vulnerability. Yeah, and
yeah,
being vulnerable to the masses. Because, like you
yeah,
said, it's so much easier if it's just a one-on-one. But then
yeah,
when people who don't know you, so they don't know your history, they don't know anything about you, can take little tidbits of what you say and make it into something that you never intended.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yeah.
yeah. So that then brings us to story time, to you getting into our Vestville story. So, Avi, now it's over to you to tell us a little bit about your story. So, first, tell us a little bit about the context. What was going on? What was the time frame? What was happening um, in the context of this failure?
All right. So this might be a little different to what you expected, because
That's no
I
problem. I like
kind
different.
of I kind of see this as a failure in progress, if there's such a thing.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Failure in
That's
progress.
fine.
Okay. So let me give you backgrounds. In
Mm-hmm.
2016, I
Mm-hmm.
was the president of the National Organization of Women, and I was encouraged to attend this seminar. The seminar was by a group called EVA International, which is
Okay.
Inviolence Against Women International.
Mm-hmm.
And it was being held in Washington that year.
Mm-hmm.
And because of where it was being held and because of how it was sold, I desperately wanted to go. I
Yeah.
attended, and everything about it was great. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those seminars where the days are long, but you don't want to miss anything because
Yes.
the bit of information was awesome. Excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
And I felt like it was just for me. It was speaking to me. It was speaking
Mm.
about things I've wanted to do for a very long time.
Yes.
And I had been getting a lot of reports from teenage girls again as I
Mm-hmm.
went around schools and did sessions at schools. I had received a
Mm-hmm.
lot of reports about a lot of sexual assaults on teenage girls, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to make a difference.
Yeah.
And something one speaker said resonated with me, and I came home with this passion. I am going to create this organization, and it's
Mm.
going to be for teenage girls, and it's going to be a place of calm and rest, and where they can come and they can be healed if they, and then they can
Yeah.
report and all of that. As months went by, I kind of put pen to paper and start. Somebody said you can't keep the dream in your head, the vision in your head. You got to write it
Yeah.
down. Fellas,
Yes.
you got to write it down.
You
So
gotta write it down.
I started to write it down and thing, and I started to build out this organization. I didn't want to call it a nonprofit. I didn't want it to be a charity.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be something with impact. So it had no name.
Mm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
um I was introduced to Kintsugi, which is this Japanese is a Japanese art form,
With the
and
cracks.
yes,
Ah,
and
yes.
I said yes, that's it. So, they say that Kintsugi is the art where brokenness is repaired with
Mm-hmm.
lacquer or gold or silver, and it highlights the beauty. So even though you are broken in certain places, there's still beauty, collateral beauty from those
Uh,
broken areas. So I
yeah.
found the name now, the Kintsugi elements, and I was
Ah.
completely compact. I was ready to go. That was in 2017 that I finished
Mm-hmm.
realized it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was passionate about it. I started looking for a place. I started looking for counselors that I can use, all kind of thing. And then I don't remember to today what happened, but something happened. And all of that hard work just paused.
Wow.
Went to
Mm-hmm.
the conference in 2018 and came back fired up to go again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of went through the same thing. And then what? So,
Yes.
so I have been for that was 2016, and this is now 2025. But I say 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So for 8 years, I was about there setting up, planning, organizing, laying out, detailing, getting personnel, just to sit down and do nothing. And I could not figure out what the roadblock was. I
What?
couldn't
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out what is it. it was that is stopping me. You know, impotent
Yeah.
to move on,
Mm-hmm.
failure to launch kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. So I had to sit down and I mean, I'm still counseling teenage girls. It's,
Mm-hmm.
people are still sending people. I'm still involved with the National Organization of Women, so I still have moments of counseling and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And every time I do that, I'm thinking, if Kintsugi element was birthed,
Yeah,
you're not you're not supposed to laugh, Alison.
I
But I do.
know.
And the thing is, the years go by. So I was so embarrassed at the end of 2020
Right.
to realize that for 8 years, I've been here with this dream, with this
Yeah.
passion, and
Mm-hmm.
just doing nothing about it except writing down. I'm telling you, I have a file, a folder for Kintsugi Alma on my computer. I have one on my iPad. I have one on my phone. Every time I get pieces of information, I'm putting them on and da 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 da.
Yes.
And every time something
Mm-hmm.
drops into my heart, and that's all I've been doing. And to realize it has been 8 years of just being like the Israelites, just going around the mountain, just
Mm-hmm.
going around the mountain. So came All Year's Night in 2024, and and I'm at church, and my spirit was not just touched, it was seared as the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I'm looking around, I'm seeing hurt, I'm seeing brokenness, and I have a response, and
Mm-hmm.
using the response. And I think I was quickened then into action.
Mm-hmm.
So I restarted the plan. Um, I said to myself, okay, um, Utah people don't worry about failure. So I was being hypocritical because in my
Mm-hmm.
sessions, I would tell people, don't worry about failure. Failure is not final. You can get up and go again.
Yeah.
Where I myself was limited, confounded, um, and confined, sorry,
Yeah.
about, about because I was bothered by failure. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two possibilities. This is an opportunity, and there are two possibilities from every opportunity. There's the possibility of succeeding,
Mm-hmm.
and the possibility of failure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't step up, then you will never know which possibility was possible.
Yes. Yeah.
So and I think what and even as we went through this session today, a lot of things were confirmed in my spirit, because I think then I defaulted also to somewhere along the line to that perfectionist complex, because
Yeah.
not it was not in my mind finished, it was not, the product was not perfect, and because of
Got
that
it.
I found it difficult to launch, to step out and
Yes.
say, okay, we are starting. Um, so I think I have made more leeway, but this is why I call it a failure in progress,
Right.
because I've not gotten to the launch, but I think I have a greater determination than I
Mm-hmm.
did before. I have also done more, and I think one of the things that also has also propelled me is the fact that we were at church a time, and the minister said, what's that thing that God is calling you to do that you've been there, sitting on and thing. And
Mm-hmm.
when I and you had to join with someone else and pray, and I joined with a partner and pray. When I returned to my seat, my daughter said to me, Mommy, so did you pray about Kintsugi element? Is that what you put out there? So now I have somebody else who's kind of looking over my shoulder, and
Yes.
you need to get on with it, So
Yes.
there's greater accountability now. It's not just dreams that I have packed up in my heart and just sitting down on. There are people who
Yeah.
are saying, I've heard you say
Have you
this.
done it?
You should go
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I will return to the Best Fail podcast
Yes.
in some time to here and say
Yes.
the element is launched and doing well, and we
Oh,
are
girl,
helping. We
I
are
cannot
helping.
wait.
Oh,
Because now you've got myself and whoever listens as part of your accountability team.
yes, yes. And the very thing
Oh,
that I was afraid of might be the very thing that helps me to get to the place I need to be.
exactly, exactly. And tell us about that, because I'm thinking that you mean that of vulnerability. Is it the
Yeah.
vulnerability or the yeah? Mm-hmm.
But so I don't want to be hypocritical in my words. So the fact that I'm being vulnerable about it and putting it out there, then there's somebody that says, as you just mentioned, how far have you gotten with this? And
Yes.
because there's still a little bit of that perfectionist complex residing there, I'm gonna want to answer in the positive. I want to say, well, we are we're doing this. We've been launched now for couple of months and things. So
Yes.
I see it as happening. And when you invited me to do this, I grappled with, and I mean, I could have found another
Mm.
failure, but I grappled with
Yes.
one to use, and I thought to myself, you know what? I think this is it. This is the best thing.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, so um, it is. I heard most of your people speak about something that had happened, and then
Yeah.
they learned from it. And this is why I call it a failure in progress because much of
Yes.
it is still ongoing. Right?
Yeah. 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 Love it. And just even to the idea of failure to launch, because like there are so many different people, like
Yeah.
even also the failure that got me into thinking about failures was in a way a failure to launch as well, because I, it was business related. And Wendell and I were going into starting the business together, which we did start, but a lot of
Mhm.
that beginning work was on me. As we were going through the process, Avi, all of my insecurities just start to raise up. I was like,
Mhm.
who am I to be about the place to let anybody about this stuff,
Yes.
like who am I?
Yes.
And it stopped me in my
Mhm.
tracks. Like
Yes.
I was supposed to get the business registered. Who registered it? Wendell. Like all of these stuff that I was supposed to do,
To
I could
do.
not do because I was like, what? And
Yeah.
yeah, hey, that failure to launch is a serious thing.
I kind of comforted myself by thinking, you know what, the dream is too big for me. So, and I love a
Yeah.
change. So I try to look at it now. Change. I had a lot of perspective changing to do, to get
Hmm.
me to today. So I said, it's too big for me to handle. That's not a thing to be shied away from. Let's even embrace that. Embrace
Hmm.
that, you know, because you're sitting that there were so many other people, I like quotes, right? I like to listen to pockets and nuggets of wisdom. So
Yeah.
I like to read oftentimes anything by Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I like to read things by Dr. Martin Luther King. I
Yeah.
like to read things that are said by Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And when I look at their positions in life, Maya Angelou,
Yeah.
I see people that were just like me that just had dreams and no way of going forward. People that were the least of the apostles in their
Hmm.
situations,
Yeah.
but they kept pressing on and they found ways to make it work. And I said, rather than just sitting down reading these quotes, how about taking it to heart and start applying some stuff? I
Yeah.
start to live out some stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, so that's the kind of thing. That's the place where I'm at in my thinking that helps me to keep going forward. And
I
I
love
think
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've mentioned one of the things that has changed is accountability. So you've got more people you're accountable to. You've talked about a change of perspective in terms of how you were looking at it is bigger than you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you found that you are doing differently? No, that is helping propel you along the path to Kintsugi.
Kintsugi, the Kintsugi. Um, what I think one of the things that kept me caged is this whole idea of housing and so the finances that go to create an office space and that kind of thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I recently um did some work for an organization, and I'm so pleased with the impact that they're making, and
Mm.
they're going to office space and anything like that, and that's what where internet and thing comes back in. So many people are doing things from a virtual perspective and things
Yes.
like, okay, let's get away with some of that old thinking and
Mm-hmm.
embrace some of the fresh, as young people say, the fresh wokeness, and understand that has to be done. Things that have to be
Yeah.
done this way. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I like that. The whole idea of identifying the things that were barriers and finding ways to
yes,
make them not barriers anymore.
yeah, yeah. Make those barriers stepping stone. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So,
And let me just say that you know the
yeah.
interesting thing about Kintsugi element, that the very gist of the name is embracing the imperfection of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes.
was there waiting for it to become perfect
Yes.
before
How
before I
ironic.
can out.
Oh, what a thing. Oh my goodness. So,
Yeah,
so as you process this, because this is a failure in progress as you're talking about, because
yeah,
the kintsugi element is to come. It is on the way to come. But
yeah.
so you talked about changing perspective and accountability for you, and also like just also embracing or removing those barriers. When you think about those, are there any things that you've done for yourself personally, like in terms of your maybe the way that you think about perfection, for example, that you found has been helpful in helping you to transition also away from this failure into making Kintsugi element a reality?
Um, I don't think. I think I don't know if you've lived with a limp for so long that
Yes.
the limp remains. So I think I can manage my perfectionist complex, but I'm not
Got it.
sure it's totally gonna go. I,
Oh,
I
yeah,
still
yeah.
like to see things done well and in order
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But what I need to do is to look for avenues, different avenues of wellness, of things being done well instead of what I
Right.
once perceived. So yes, then in that case, it is kind of forcing me to expand my mind, forcing me to expand the way I think about things, and to look for
Mm.
alternative avenues and recognizing
Mhm.
can still be done in excellence. It just doesn't have to be done the way I once perceived it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not easy. It is not easy to change mindsets that have been solidified and cemented in there for 30 years or whatever. But at
Yeah.
least I have made the effort to do so, and I can see that there is um there's reward. I'm reaping rewards, that there's fruitfulness
Yeah.
in that area as I go forward.
I like that. I love the idea of not even waiting until the end, but as you make these small steps that you are
Yes,
you are celebrating the fruitfulness that you're seeing
Right.
as well. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
because it's
Yes.
encouragement. It's encouragement to continue as opposed to waiting to
Yeah.
have your celebration all the way at the end.
I said to someone recently, they were sharing a dream with me. This was like this was like in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and they had this desire, this dream for this vision for something they wanted to do, to create.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was now years in the making. It was like 30 something years. And I said, remember saying to that person, if you don't act, you're going to die with the dream,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
nobody who's coming behind you is not going to do it the way you envisioned it. And
Yeah.
I said that very loosely because that's my thing. I give advice and whatever. But when I got home, Alison, my spirit was so convicted. It was
Oh,
like, who are
yes.
you to tell somebody about dying with a dream when you just began
Dream.
sitting down? And I think what registered in my mind is that I was saying, that person that was like 30 something years. So I'm just a few years in. So it made me look better in my eyes. But then when the
Mm-hmm.
conviction kicked in, mm,
You're like, I really am no different,
you know what I'm saying?
no different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. One of the things that I like to ask people is if there is anyone that has helped them through, the process of or helped them through their failure. And for you, is there anybody that has stood out like along this journey that you're in?
Um, I think the person who who encouraged me to
Yeah.
attend the first conference,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have shared with her when I returned what my heart felt, and
Mm-hmm.
she was always like, just do it, just do it. So she's not a regular in my life. Like, we don't
Yeah.
have um monthly, weekly conversations, nothing like that. We're not we work as colleagues, and she's a
Yeah.
person that I really like, but I wouldn't even go as far as to say we're really friends. But
Right.
she
Yeah.
but the work that she would have done with me initially, and her quiet encouragement from time to time, does a lot in saying to me, and helping me say, okay, keep on the path, keep fighting, keep
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
keep pushing forward for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even
Love
think that
it.
she knows that, because, you know, I we don't have that ongoing relationship, but
Relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
she's the first
Yeah.
person whose words kind of got me very passionate about this.
Mm.
And I must say, the I've had moments where my heart really burnt within me when I heard stories of teenage girls and the things that they have endured,
Mm-hmm.
and and like, more so than a counseling thing, the Kintsugi element is a teaching thing. It's about
Mm.
empowering these young girls as to understand who they are,
Mm-hmm.
what they have that's of worth, so that they do not see themselves as nothing, that they don't sell out, they don't settle for mediocrity.
Yeah.
And every time I have to work with a young girl who who's now reeling from the effects of
Mm.
being exploited or assaulted, I said to myself, you've got to get it together. There is
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
what you propose to do. You got to get
Yeah.
it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that too is and that's what used to give me my yearly restart, saying,
Yes. Having
kind of
those
thing.
interactions with the
Yes.
teens, with young girls.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
What would you say to somebody, because you're going through your process? what encouragement would you give to somebody who is in a similar situation to you, who's got this idea that they're really passionate about, they know the impact that it could have, and but they, there's always a stumbling block to them making it a reality. What would you say to encourage them?
That one is clear. I would say, have somebody in your corner. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need sometimes. Somebody to say to you, to remind you, do this. Somebody to
Mm-hmm.
like alongside you and said, what do you need? How can I
Mm-hmm.
assist? And you might find, um, and I don't want to be preachy because I know the podcast goes to everybody, but
Yeah.
you know, you would find that Moses and Aaron kind of issue where he thought he couldn't do it, and the mere fact of having somebody there, because Aaron never did
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yeah.
So, and
True.
that person, and that person might be there. That's okay. I'm here with you, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the comfort of going on. They might never do
Yeah.
anything, might never say anything, but you just felt like you weren't alone. As you
Yeah.
tried to undertake, whatever. And the thing is, sometimes what I've found as I've been through this is that it's not always easy, as verbose as I am, it's not always easy to articulate what your
Mm.
heart is saying,
Yeah.
or about this particular dream or vision. You can feel it, you can see the
Yes.
end of it, but to put that into logically sounding words that somebody would understand and could jump on the bandwagon to do,
Yeah.
is somebody said to me a day, okay, do you need an investor?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, oh, so what is this going to be like? What's this thing going to be like? And I had difficulty articulating. It's not that I don't know because my heart is full of the dream, but I
Yeah.
had difficulty articulating so that they would understand. Um, if they could get monetary returns from making an investment.
Investment.
So, yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
person that you can bounce things off of and just have the discussion and stuff, that might be,
Yeah.
that would be my encouragement to
Your
somebody.
encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the truth is, even because one thing that I have grown to love a whole lot is like what does research say as well? And
Yeah.
actually, when it comes to goal setting, research shows exactly that, Abby, that when you've got a partner, when you've got partner losing using that term loosely, but
Hmm.
when you've got somebody else that you are accountable to, as far as
Hmm.
that dream is concerned, as far as that goal is concerned, you are more likely to achieve it than if you go at
Wow.
it by yourself.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, nice. Well, that basically is it. That brings us to the end of this Best Feels episode. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, Avi, for coming on.
I would say it was my pleasure, but that would just be cliched. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it was a great pleasure, but I appreciate the moment to put it out there, to
Yes.
kind of poke me out of my comfort zone, um,
Yes.
and say, okay, let me step up and do this. And
Hmm.
as we have shared, the sharing of it has been good
Yeah.
for me because I can see some of the triggers back then, what things that might have triggered things back then. It caused me to do things in a certain way. So it was, it
Yeah.
was, it is indelible now. So it
Oh,
is
I
a
love
good,
it. It's indelible.
good
So does
experience.
that mean that next year at the same time
Oh dear, no. So do we have
we
to
should
put
run it
dates?
back? Dates are great. I would just say, Avi, how are things going?
Yes, let's
What's
go
the
with that.
latest? A heartfelt thank you to Evelyn for sharing her story with courage, honesty, and grace. If you'd like to connect with her, you'll find all the details in our show notes. If Best Feels resonates with you, the best way to support us is to share it. Send it to a friend, leave a review on your favorite podcast app, or follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Best Feels Podcast. Do you have a story of your own? We'd love to hear it. Email us at info@mybestfails.com and let's keep building this brave archive of our best fails. And if you're currently navigating a failure, personal, professional, or somewhere in between, and want a space to reflect and explore what it means for you, head to the show notes to book a discovery call with me. Failure is a community resource. Don't hoard yours. Share it. You never know who it might help or what it might heal. Until next time.